What's going on? Rob, Professor Immortal here, and we're bringing you another map from the 4v4 beta Hypefestation Black Tusk ladder. It is Trenches. It's a controversial one. It is on the feedback forum, guys. Make sure you check the description and make sure you're logging your feedback if you're competing in that ladder. So the big question, the subtitle of this video, swaps or drop. Is Trenches savable? A successful map, what does it take? It takes diversity out of the gate. It takes different strategies. It takes an evolving meta. And right now, Trenches doesn't really offer that much. Now, obviously, we want to try and introduce some new maps. We want to, sort of change up the playing field, see what teams can bring to different tournaments and different lands. And it's healthy to have many game types. It's healthy to have more maps and more playable things. So what can we do about Trenches? Well, we can play with the swaps a little bit. We can conduct a little bit of an experiment here and sort of move some weapons around and just talk about what strategies may be like if Trenches was a different place. Now the map obviously has its flaws in design. I mean, you talk about this whole bottom section and how it's sort of completely isolated from the rest of the map, especially in sort of 1v1 situations where one player can be on one side of the spawn, the other player on the hill, and it's sort of this cat and mouse and good maps. It comes down to being able to see a lot, and it's interesting. Some of the more successful maps is you sort of have good awareness and good vision, and I feel like when you break away from that, sort of with this entire section, it gets a little clunky. But anyway, we're not going to be really getting into the map design here. We're going to be talking about the weapon swaps. We're going to be, talking about the current swaps. As you see right now, these are the swaps in the beta. It's an ink on each side. We got frags in the middle, the boom shot up at crane, and the sniper at one-shot hill. So what are these strategies looking like? Well, out of the gate, you're going to be seeing obviously a lot of attention over at boom. When you put a boom shot on the map, it's going to be drawing the fights, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So how many different things can you really run? You can run a few different types of strategies, but they're all going to revolve around getting the boom shot, right? So let's talk about maybe somewhat of an aggressive push, where you see some teams right now sort of setting up this way. Maybe this guy went to bottom and came up the hole there for an angle again. Yeah, it's like two different strategies here, but there's one real purpose, and that's the boom shot. So we're looking at, maybe a double smoke across the block, and these guys may flank, try and do something quickly while they have advantage, and sort of capitalize on those numbers. We may see a team run two. Maybe this player grabs ink, brings ink over here. Ink's out boom, buys some time for his team. And the strategy here would be to get hill, right? This guy can watch this opponent while he gets hill. At this point, the ink fades. This team was unable to get, the ink was placed there. This team was unable to get boom. And, so now they have vision. Now they have sort of a better little map control. We're looking at cog there and seeing the advantage that strategy did. But again, it was a strategy around boom. And what else can you really do here? So with that, swaps or drop. Can we maybe just switch up let's do a little bit of an experiment, right? So I actually done this on my stream a little bit. At mlg.tv/immortalspawn. I had, and we hope to do more of these if you guys like them. Just a live whiteboard session where we just talked about the swaps on Trenches. I wanted to get an idea, just from people in chat, just to see what they were thinking, to help me influence this video a little bit as well. So let's look at it. Let's play around a little bit, and this is just completely off the fly. We're gonna move some weapons around because again, it's very stale right now, and I think we all agree. We don't really need to get too much into more of the current strategies. Like I said, you put a boom on the map, the fights are going to be there. You got a sniper up top. I mean, it's just not very desirable in the sense that it's not really going to buy you much. It's not in a good place where you could counter a boom like possibly on Jacinto or Slab, where the sniper is a good out of the gate strategy. It's so isolated up there. So what are some different things that we can do? A lot of discussion was, what if there was no boom? What if it was a torque? So if there was a torque up at the crane, you're going to see some fights that are more team-based. You're going to see some fights that are going to be using lancers and team fire more, because you don't want to overcommit for the torque in a sense. And you may see some similar strategies, but like I said, it's going to be more team-based, more lancering and things like that. One of the things I like about Trenches was the digger. I really think the digger is a nice weapon on this map because of the elevation, because of the level 2 sort of you pick up digger down here, and you can shoot diggers, up through the ground, and maybe hit some people here. So it sort of denies camping a little bit, moving players. It's a nice utility weapon, a nice team-based weapon. So I do think the digger is pretty nice there. But again, like with this, we're still looking at, possibly some team-based oriented fights, but nothing that may really solve the problem of stalemates. Now, thinking about boom on this map, how can we make boom work? And we're sort of experimenting a little bit. We're talking about, what if a boom shot was up at the one-shot hill? Okay, what if it was something like this? So, looking at these swaps, you can make a play for boom still, but there has to be, sort of a counteract to that. So yeah, you get boom, but you may not have good map position, or something like that, right? You commit to the power weapon, but you've lost in this fight. You gain map control, but you lost elsewhere, right? So let's talk about a strategy that might evolve around something like this. This is very power weapon heavy right now. We're looking at a lot of explosives on the map. So there's a boom up at one-shot hill. We want to gain control of that. So let's think about it. Let's send 2 guys underneath. Honestly, maybe we send 3 underneath and we send 1 up here. This is a way push out. We're trying to get boom. We're committing to it. We'll send 2 up top. This is sort of like a 2-2 base maybe in this strategy. So this cog team is going to be trying to get up, and they're going to get up here. Let's say they send 2 right there. This guy's chasing, but because they have the number advantage, they're able to do that. This team may hit this player back. They have diggers. This team obviously made it up to boom. Now, because there was 2 here, this team was able to make an aggressive play for torque and sort of set up in a way that, these 2 may be battling. This player has torque. At this point, maybe one of these guys rotates out, grabs an ink or whatever. So they got the boom up on one-shot hill. Now, they're kind of that's a map position that you're not really able to do much with. It's going to be somewhat of a struggle to get off of the hill. So, this sort of evens out the map a little bit. It forces you to think about your decisions. Okay, we can't just bum rush boom because we're going to give up so much of the map. It's an amazing power weapon, but there's a trade-off there. So that's sort of the things we want to think about when we're dropping swaps as well. You put a boom shot on a map where coming out of spawn you have 2 directions. And this is sort of how Old Town is when there's a boom on the map. Why would you ever go the other way? Because you have boom there, and that's going to be the fight, whether it's a 3-1 or a 2-2. I mean, that's primarily going to be the strategies out of the gate. So when you look at a strat like this, let's just reset, because we kind of got, into that round a little bit heavy. Think about another strategy that you could do here. Okay, you know what? We really don't need to go for boom. Let's, if the opponent wants to go for boom, we can just trap them there, and we can have map control. So let's do maybe a 3 over here and grab ink. Okay, maybe we bring the ink up front. We don't need to throw it yet. And actually, we could maybe throw it whole, buy some time. These 3 guys can rush over here. Let's say this team ran a 2-2. They ran somewhat of a 2-2 base where they're trying to get out of hole. The ink's there. This team's already set up to cross down. They make a play for torque because they have numbers. They're able to get it. And now, they can either play with these numbers or sort of focus there. Rotate down, grab frags. And this team is somewhat stuck. Let's say they did end up getting up there and they have boom. They're going to be, they're going to be in a tough situation. So again, that's just another way to think about sort of the weapon placement and some of the options you have. But that's just one example of swap changes. Let's look at something else. Completely off the top, we're just going to reset these weapons, put them off. And this is the interesting thing about it, guys. It doesn't really matter. There's nothing on the map right now. Let's just put something else on trenches. This is trenches. Bare bones. All right, no more inks, right? Let's put some smokes down. Let's get some incense on this map. Let's put a boom shot in the middle, and let's put incense. Where we at? Up here. And do we want anything at one-shot hill? We could still put a digger down there, and we'll put a sniper back up there. Maybe it could have been frags. Maybe it could be something interesting like that. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. This is it. We're locked in. So how will we get into a strategy like this? Well, boom shot's in the middle of the map, somewhat of a vulnerable spot to be. So obviously need to be watching it. We can't just let it go unnoticed. Incense are pretty strong here. I would say the fight down low is also pretty important because you want to have vision on boom. So let's send 2. I'm going to assume this team is sort of running. Let's say they're running the same strategy. One of these teams is going to be able to get up and take top sandbag and look down at boom. Maybe this is sort of what happens. There ends up being a skirmish up here. Let's say one of these guys gets killed in an example, and you have incense now. But we're already seeing like there won't be just a bum rush for boom in this strategy because of the placement where it's just sort of like dead center like that, and everyone sort of has vision. Now you maybe thinking, well, why won't there be a bum rush for it? Well, let's look at it again. Okay, because when you put weapons like incense or digger on the map, and you have a weapon pickup, that's going to be a focal point. So if this team's rushing out and just going for boom with chain revives, and this team is flooding as well, I mean that's just a toss-up of a fight. That's not very advantageous. Even if Cog had one guy go over here, they're going to have the advantage because they're going to have that cross. If this guy were to pick up digger and start chucking diggers through this wall, they're going to have the advantage. So it sort of makes you think about this weapon swaps as, okay, we need to gain perimeter control. We need to gain control of the area before we go for a boom pickup. So we really need to slay. And because that boom pickup is in a very, very vulnerable spot and dead center of the map, makes for some interesting team fights. So this was just a little bit of an experiment thinking about, what if you change one thing, how the strategies might evolve? Will they always be a flood to one side, or can we really break up trenches? So the movie stopped automatically when I turned my back. But what you missed was me, this very dramatic finish of me erasing trenches, and it's gone. Is it dropped, or do we talk about those swaps a little bit? I'm not drawing it again, guys. This was a one-take episode. Those were a couple swap examples of how to mix things up a little bit. Is the map worth saving, or do we let it go? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about some of the little bit of experiment here. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.